Jimena presents a celebration of Sephardi and Mizrahi Jewish heritage. Activist and law student Isabella Hazan, a descendant of Moroccan Jews. Writer and activist Chen Mazig, his family fled to Israel from Iraq and Tunisia. Straight from Israel with Cindy Seni. Her family roots are widespread from Libya, Tunisia, France, and more. And Adiel of Israel, Adiel Cohen, his family came from Yemen. Dr. Saba Sumer, a descendant of Jews from Iran. And the Empress Mizrahi, Matthew Nuriel, a proud Persian Jew.
Shalom, my name is Adiel Cohen, and I'm a Yemenite Jew from Israel.
Here I am in law school. My parents came here with not much, and I'm proud.
We're not just surviving, we're also thriving.
In the 20th century, close to 1 million Jewish refugees fled anti-Semitism and oppression in Arab countries and Iran. Today, their Mizrahi and Sephardi descendants make up more than half of Israel's Jewish population.
Mizrahi and Sephardic culture is huge.
The children and grandchildren of Jewish refugees from Arab countries and Iran are fighting for human rights and the heritage of their ancestors.
If you oppose Jews defining the hatred which we ourselves experience, you are, in essence, endorsing that very hatred.
I'm getting the information out there and trying to encourage other people to share that information as well. I get to empower Mizrahi and Sephardic peoples.
My name is Isabella Hazan, and I am a proud Jew.
I initially had decolonized Judean in my Instagram bio and in my Twitter bio and my social media handles. I knew it was powerful because I had hundreds of Jews messaging me saying, hey, can I put this in my Instagram handle?
I co-founded Tel Aviv Institute. From the social media work that we're doing to my speaking events, I'm trying to get to the younger Jewish generation and inspire them and connect them to their identity in a more meaningful way that was ever tried before. People are telling me that I stole Middle Eastern food because I'm Jewish. These are the recipes that my grandparents have cooked for hundreds of years. What are you talking about? I feel like my work really is making a difference when I see young Jews that follow me on Instagram adding, to their bio being Mizrahi.
I studied political science and Middle East history at Tel Aviv University. I did not intend to I don't even like this word influencer.
I'm basing the fact that Jews are indigenous to this land on actual history. For example, the fact that we had several kingdoms here.
I didn't plan to make content and make videos, I just downloaded it for fun. And then I witnessed an incredible amount of anti-Semitism. And at some point I just decided to respond.
Enough with this nonsense of Jews were protected under Islam while they were persecuted in Europe. They were persecuted all over the world.
I met a lot of other Jewish creators on TikTok and on other platforms. We became sort of like this community on TikTok, and we decided to back each other up and make content fighting anti-Semitism, make positive content about our Jewish lives, our Israeli lives. I love it. I love being there for my people. I love meeting other Jews around the world.
One of the first videos I did on TikTok, it was called You Don't Look Moroccan. Caftans, they poured the tea, like who could pour the highest, because that's what Moroccans do. I'm not too bad. My video went viral. Mizrahi girl made it to the top.
Mizrahi girls are also making it to the top in higher education.
I did something that most girls in my community at that time did not do, which was I went away to college. I studied Jewish studies from Berkeley to Harvard to Santa Barbara. The narrative about Jews in the Middle East or any other religious minority in the Middle East was not discussed. That's when my dissertation on Iranian Jewish women came to be.
All of this Jewish pride stems from a rich and ancient indigenous Middle Eastern culture. Jewish history without Mizrahi history is like a book missing half of its chapters. You can't tell the story without including us. You just can't. The story of Jewish life in the Middle East begins during the days of the Bible, more than 3,000 years ago in the ancient kingdom of Judah. Its residents were known as Yehudim, which translates to the word Jews. In 586 BCE, the Babylonian Empire forced the Jews out of Judah. Many settled in what would become modern-day Iraq and other countries in the Middle East and North Africa. They lived in those lands continuously until the 20th century, when they fled oppression and religious persecution.
During the time of the Holocaust, Nazi ideology really made its way into the Middle East. The Jews were in a very, very dire condition. They were basically refugees in their own homeland.
It's really heartbreaking to think of everything that happened to my grandmother. She can't forget the memories of how her dad was killed in Iraq and how she saw her best friend being raped and killed in the street of Iraq during the Farhud because she was Jewish.
The Jewish experience in Morocco with Nazis. On both of my family side, on my mom's side and on my dad's side actually, I have family members that were murdered by Nazis.
You had, by the 1950s, about 850,000 Jews who were kicked out of the Arab world. And a lot of historians will say, no, they weren't kicked out. Okay, 850,000 Jews where life was made so horrific for them that they had no choice but to leave the Arab world.
While some scattered to countries around the globe, 650,000 Jewish refugees poured into the young state of Israel.
The country had a really hard task to bring all these Jews from all over the world with different cultures, traditions, education all together.
When my grandparents came to Israel in 1951, they only had the clothes on their backs, and they lived in tents and in tin shacks for years in Ma'abarot, in the transit camps, those refugee camps that were set up in Israel for Mizrahi Jews. They had nothing.
My family, they came from a little town in Tunisia called Mahdiya. They escaped from Tripolitana. My grandmother never ever spoke of that. She crossed the countries and she crossed the seas.
I come from a family of Iranian Jews, and my mom's family were part of the ones that left during the 80s.
Our ancestors chose to leave, and they chose to preserve our Jewish identity. And a lot of Moroccan Jews have this emunah that's really ingrained within us. My friends all light candles for each other before we have an exam. You think it's like an old lady thing to do, but no, we really have this emunah. And I think that's really something that Mizrahi Jews have on lock, is this deep, profound faith and connection with Hashem.
By keeping our traditions alive, we are not only keeping our ancestors alive, but we're keeping all their efforts that came before them. And that's like an honor that we can give to them. That's what makes us one of the oldest religions and nations on the planet, is that if we hadn't kept all that, then we would be nowhere today.
My favorite Yemenite Jewish tradition is our Pesach Seder. Instead of a Seder plate, we put all the simanim on the table.
So Mimuna is a traditional party after Passover where Moroccan Jews will make different foods, a lot of music, a lot of dancing, a lot of Moroccan tea for sure. And we invite a lot of guests over, and it's just a huge party.
My grandmother is an Iraqi Jewish loving grandmother, and she makes this amazing sandwich as well. It's called sabich, and there's so many things inside the sandwich. Hummus that is coming from the Middle East, the amba that is actually coming from Iraq, but it's actually originated in India. And I think that really represents to me how beautiful and rich this culture is.
Jimena. Jewish refugees from Libya and Egypt founded Jimena, Jews indigenous to the Middle East and North Africa, to tell their stories and to keep their heritage alive.
We're finally in control of the conversation, and we see that shift more and more, especially in younger spaces.
Once you explore other experiences of other Jews worldwide, it helps me connecting to the greater Jewish story.
Bringing this culture and the music and the food into this conversation really makes a massive difference. We are making our Jewish community much stronger, for not only for Mizrahi, for all Jews.
I'm proud of my Mizrahi heritage.
I am proud of my Yemenite Jewish heritage.
Proud of my Mizrahi heritage.
I'm a proud Mizrahi Jew.
I'm proud of my Mizrahi heritage.